control is an illusion. And so we're going to talk about this. I don't have to have it. God's got it. I just have to do my part. And so we're going to dive into this because I think it's a huge part of why so many people don't accomplish their goals. And I want you to look for the 2 millimeter distinction that's for you today that's going to help you shift. I'm excited to complete this series with you, or not complete it, to keep it going because it's been really, really powerful. And so I want to welcome you back to our third installment of this series on accomplishing impossible income goals. And so I want to kick this off and just do a recap of what we've been through so far. The first episode that we did, we laid the foundation for this. And what we talked about was how the best laid plans die for most people after the first week of the year. And what I asked you to consider for yourself is this: are you the goal setting type? Is that who you are? And what we determined is that while it's cool to be the goal setting type, what we really want to be is the goal keeping type. Because studies show that 43% of people who set goals for the new year give up on them by the end of January. And so the really, really important question that I asked during the very first episode that we kicked off this series with is, if every week this year was a repeat of last week, how would your year turn out? And that's a question I want you to continually ask yourself and reassess as you move through this year. It was a really powerful conversation to kick off this series and to set the foundation for what we've been talking about. And then last episode, we continued the conversation on goal achieving, more specifically, achieving impossible income goals and creating rapid results. And what I talked about is how you can create your most impossible goals faster than you ever imagined. I'm a living, breathing case study for that. I'm living possibility of what it looks like when you're achieving goals that you once thought were impossible, or goals that seem impossible to most. We also set a definition of impossible. And I think that's important for us all to be on the same page. It doesn't mean same page. It doesn't mean you can't achieve it. It just means that most people never will, right? Which means you can't look to most people for guidance on how to do it. So if you missed either one of those sessions, go back and make sure you watch episode 1 and 2 of the series. Go back and watch them. Today, we're going to talk about rapid transformation, because you can't get to where you are by taking the same actions, thinking the same thoughts that you are today. Who you be today is not the same person who's going to be standing at the finish line where the impossible goal is. There's a surrender that needs to happen on the journey to your next level. You must transform. Again, who you are today won't be the you that has achieved that impossible goal. And so I want to talk about this, and I'm not going to hold you long today. I'm going to tell you a few stories. I'm going to share some insights and wisdom that I have on doing this for myself in various different ways. And I'll tell you what that's looked like for me, but also helping clients do this as well. Rapid transformation, doing it quickly, requires you to surrender 3 things. And today we're going to dive into the first of the 3. And over the next few episodes of this series, I'm going to be breaking down the rest. Rapid transformation is going to require you to let go. It's going to require you to release. And the 3 things that I'm going to be going through and breaking down for you over the next few episodes are control, comfort, and common sense. And so we're going to dive into detail what that looks like practically, how to implement it into your life, and how to just be aware where you may be holding on to these things, and it might be a roadblock to you achieving that impossible goal. So the first one that we're going to dive in today is control. So I want to jump into it and kind of share this, but I want to share this story with you. I have this sign. It's been with me. I think I've had this for about 6 years now. It says, "I got this." And if you look closely at the bottom, it's signed God. I was speaking at church at a women's service, and I was telling the story about how I always prayed to God to bless the plans that I had for myself. And I know God was just laughing. There's a saying, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans, right? Tell him all the things you have planned. And so they brought me that. And it's just a reminder to me, Shameca, that you're not in control. Control is an illusion. And so we're going to talk about this. I don't have to have it. God's got it. I just have to do my part. And so we're going to dive into this because I think it's a huge part of why so many people don't accomplish their goals. And I want you to look for the 2 millimeter distinction that's for you today that's going to help you shift. What I want you to understand is control comes from the mind. Control is in your head, right? And your mind is focused only on the things you know, right? We have a knowledge of things that we know, but there's so much that we don't know. If you knew how to create $1 million in your business, or $1 million month, or $1 million day, or close $100,000 sales, or get to that first 6 figures in your business, you would already have done it. So you can only do what you know, and you're trying to control getting to that next level reality from what you know. If you're trying to 10 times or 100 times your business, it doesn't happen from what you know. You know how to create what you have. That's it. You know how to create what you already created. Rapid transformation, to transform, to create an impossible income goal, it's illogical to most people. It's illogical to most. It doesn't make sense. How does someone go from, barely crossing $1 million or making multiple 6 figures to having $1 million day or $1 million month? How? Your brain is like, you're trying to do all the numbers, you're trying to math it, you're trying to see how many clients you need, how many posts you're going to have, and you're trying to do it from a logical place. To get to an impossible income goal with speed, this type of transformation, and there is a transformation that's required because you must become a different person, right? This type of transformation is born from the unknown. That's where faith comes in. That's where trust comes in, right? It's born from the unknown. We don't know what's on the other side, which is also why most people never get there, because they're trying to create from what they know. That's where what's called the terror barrier comes in, because it's scary when we don't know what's on the other side. Only few will have the courage to lead into the discomfort, the fear, and cross over. Here's the thing. You can't control what's unknown. It's an unknown variable. So control is an illusion. And so that in itself scared me, right? It scared me. And it's meant to be scary. There's a quote from JP Morgan that I love, and it's so powerful. So I'm going to share it with you right now. In order to become a millionaire, it takes hard work. But to become a billionaire, it takes the supernatural. One of the richest men on the planet said it takes the supernatural, or took the supernatural for him to become a billionaire. There's no way you can come up with those thoughts and ideas of your own accord, or all the serendipitous things that have to happen along the way, all the invitations that you accept, the opportunities that come your way. It doesn't just happen from a logical place. You can't plan it all out step by step in a journal. There is some outside interference that happens to catapult us to something that we've never experienced before. So JP Morgan's quote is, to become a millionaire, it takes hard work. And to become a billionaire, it takes a supernatural. Shameca says, creating impossible income goals fast will require the supernatural. God resides in the impossible. Self resides in the possible. If I'm leaning on myself, if I'm leaning on what I know how to do, if I'm leaning on my knowledge, my wisdom, my understanding, I can only create what most people create, and that's probability, possibility, right? The mundane, what most people do. In order for me to create impossible, I must release. I do my part. The rest is God's business. And not everyone is ready to submit control to God. Like, not everyone is ready to submit control. What I want you to understand is, I'm talking about the power that works within you. Not many people are ready to listen to the voice inside of them, to their God voice, their intuition, the thing that says, trust me, do this thing, take this step, because it doesn't look like what everybody else is doing. And so you're worried that you might be doing something wrong, because if all the ducks are following and quacking and moving this way, why shouldn't I move that way too? right? When they zig, you should zag. Trust your intuition. Not many people are ready to listen to that. My question is, are you? What we're doing on this journey to impossible goals is we are co-creating with God. Co-creating with God. I want you to like anchor that in. You're co-creating. When you co-create, you don't have total control because it's not just you that's doing the creating. So pushing, driving, overdoing, it won't make it happen. The power position in this play, in this game, is surrender. Surrender is the power position, not drive, go, do. Surrender control, trust God, trust the process, trust yourself. Trust that you're doing your part. Like you do your part. I'm going to do everything I know to do because that's as far as we can take it. And then we surrender to the supernatural, right? Timing is God's business. How it actually all comes together is God's business. I want to read a passage from one of my favorite books. It's called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. I'll put the link in the chat a little bit later. I meant to set it up so that it would go to you guys earlier. A Happy Pocket Full of Money by David Cameron Jacondi. My favorite passage of this book is in the section where it's talking about time. And it's on page 37. And it says, imagine that you have a goal of becoming a millionaire or a billionaire in a year. That's your goal. You set timing on it. You're like, this is my year. 2024 is my year to do the impossible. Think about this. This is what what the book says, going back to the book. Think about this. Why did you choose 1 year? It's a very arbitrary date or deadline. It's a mere grab a date. It is possible that Source can create that millionaire or billionaire outcome in an instant. Nothing is difficult for Source, God. I love this passage. This was a game changer for me. The fastest way to achieve an impossible income goal is to release control. The fastest way to achieve an impossible income goal is to release control. You set the goal and you let it go. So I want to share a quick story with you about my first $1 million year. I actually just went back to look inside of my Infusionsoft to see. I'm actually kind of embarrassed to talk about it. I've told this story before, but I hadn't looked at the numbers. So I crossed the $1 million mark cash in my business for the first time in the year 2020, not sales, cash. I just went back and checked my payment processor from April, and there might be a little bit more because I was accepting some payments in PayPal at the time, but it's not much more. From January 2020 to March 31st of 2020. Now, let me set this up. The year before, I had made about $480 something thousand. So I told my coach, my mentor, my mastermind sisters and brothers, okay, next year is going to be my $1 million year, because up to that point, I had been doubling and doubling and doubling my income every year. So I'm like, you know what? We can do this again. I couldn't figure out how. I was mathing every which way. At that point in time, I had never had more than 12 people in my mastermind. Didn't even know if I wanted that because I loved the intimacy. I didn't want to dilute the power of the community and the group. And so I just couldn't figure out how I was going to make this work, like how many sales it would take, and doing all the math. It just felt crazy to me. And so it kind of kept me in a chokehold. So I just did this before I jumped on this call, which is why we started just slightly late, because I wanted to see the actual numbers. I thought it was somewhere around $40,000 or $50,000. I looked at this from January 2020 to March 31st. I made $11,782. You listening? Now, the pandemic, everything shut down in March. In March, I was actually at an event where I got the download and the release of how. And I'm going to be doing a few events this year where I'm going to be teaching what I learned that day that changed the game for me. So be on the lookout for the in-person local events that I'm going to be doing, plus Game on Live event. I'm going to teach it there as well. But it changed everything. I remember sitting there looking at the screen, the PowerPoint that was up, and starting to do the exercise. And this wave of clarity, the not knowing just went away. And by October of that year, I was already at $1 million. I got the call from my CFO that you're at $1 million. Now, here's why it's an impossible income goal. First of all, I didn't know how, but I had to surrender, right? I didn't know how I was going to get there. I knew that it was for me. I knew that it was a done deal. I didn't even really know the timing. And January of that year, I had gone to an event, and one of the things that I was willing to surrender was the timing, right? I'd shared with somebody that I was afraid that I was going to set this goal to do $1 million. And what if I didn't do it? It was going to be embarrassing, all of those things. And I remember her looking at me and saying, what if you don't do it? What if you just let go? What if you're willing to go backwards in order to go frontwards? And in that moment, I surrendered to that. I'm good with it because I know it's an inevitability. I know that it's coming. Like I said, the first 3 months of the year, I was nowhere near on track. Most of you are doing math like, okay, I got to make $83,333 this month, $83,300, and you're doing all the math, and I got to sell this many, and you're trying to control the situation. By all accounts and purposes, at the end of the first quarter, I was not on track, but I was focused and intentional in what I was creating. And I knew that I knew that I knew what was next for me. So I set the goal. But in March, I was willing to release it and just go to work. And so I went to work. And by October, we had crossed the $1 million mark. The tears when I got that call, the sheer wow of it all when I got that call was incredible. And so here's what I want to share. Collapsing time happens when you release control. You can't control time. There's a saying that my grandmother used to say, a watch pot don't boil. She used to say it all the time, a watch pot don't boil. Think about it. When you're trying to boil eggs or you're trying to boil water for rice or pasta, if you sit there and look at it, it's like, hurry up already. Like, it doesn't take that long to get to 212 degrees. Like, let's boil already. And even sometimes it's like, okay, how long are we going to stay at 210 or 211 degrees? It seems like forever. But when you're not thinking about it, you walk away. It seems like time just goes so fast, right? That's how I want you to think about your business this year. This impossible income goal that you have, I want you to set it and forget it. Here's a story. The crazy thing. So, I have a habit of like popping eggs, boiling eggs, and like losing track of time. And then I don't know if you guys know this, but if you boil all the water out of a pot when you're boiling eggs, they start to explode. So they explode all over the ceiling, all over the kitchen. I have done this more times than I can count, because I walk away and I release it and I forget that it even exists, right? And so it seems like time is going fast. What I want you to understand is your business. Don't let your business be like a watch pot. How can you translate this into your life where you can release instead of holding on so tight to what you think you're trying to create that's next? Oh my gosh, I have to have, an $80,000 month. I need to have my first 6-figure month. If you just release it, right? Don't allow your impossible income goal to become a watched pot. Control is an illusion, and it keeps you operating in the land of not enough, right? It keeps you in the energy of lack because you're focusing on what you don't have or the gap that it's going to take in order for you to get there instead of the abundance of what you already created. The yeses that you're already getting, the leads that you're already generating, the people who are already in your programs. If you focus on, I'm serving and people are saying yes, as opposed to, okay, that person said yes, I need 5 more. That's the gap. That keeps you operating on the frequency of lack, which means the lack will perpetuate. So releasing control and basically saying it's done. It's a done deal for me. Actually puts you in a space of abundance that you're taken care of, that there is no void or lack. All I'm doing is like speeding up time to catch up to it, right? The pot's going to boil while I'm over here doing something else. The only thing I'm doing is passing time until I get there. You with me? So what does that look like practically for you and your business and your life day to day? Ask yourself that question. Here's what I want you to do over the next 7 days. Over the next 7 days, I want you to release control. Practice being in a state of surrender in your business over the next 7 days. Now, this is not like I'm not paying attention, I'm disengaged. This is just surrender and control. All I can control is what I know to do every day. So I'm going to do what I know to do. I'm going to be who I know how to be. I'm going to serve who shows up in front of me. The rest is going to take care of itself, right? I'm going to be a big biter. I'm going to lean into courage and say yes to opportunities when they come. I'm going to do everything I can do in my part, but I'm going to surrender the outcome. Some of you get so like your panties all in a twist when you have sales calls booked because you're so nervous about whether or not they're going to say yes. So you can't show up powerfully. What if you just showed up powerfully and released control of that? I'm here to serve. I'm here to give you an opportunity that can change your life. It's up to you to say yes. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what that looks like. And if you're not the yes, then there's a yes somewhere around the corner. It's a different state to show up in. And accomplishing this impossible income goal, it's going to require you to release control. So treat your impossible income goal like it's an inevitability. And I want you to just practice being in that state over the next 7 days, releasing the how and the when of it, and trust, knowing that it's actually already done. So that's what I have for you today. Over the next couple of episodes, we're going to talk about the releasing of common sense, and we're going to talk about the releasing of comfort when it comes to going after an impossible income goal and what that looks like. But the first thing I need you to understand is you got to let go of control. You got to let go of control. One of my most powerful experiences where I allow people to practice these concepts is Play Big. Play Big is an income acceleration game where I walk 20 leaders through how to grow and expand their sales, collapsing time beyond anything they've ever created before. And here's the thing about Play Big. The money is not the best part of the program. Who you become that emerges as you go through this process, the power player that you become, that's the real winning part of this whole program. This container holds you in the highest frequency of your power, right? What I know is that most of my ideal clients don't need someone to tell them what to do every day. They have invested in programs and strategies, but they've reached a certain level of income where it doesn't matter what they do. It seems like nothing shifts. It doesn't matter what strategy they try, what program they invest in, they're still creating the same income and over and over and over again. What they do need is someone that's a mirror reflecting back to them the greatness that they know they already have inside. What you need is an energetic calibration portal that ensures that you don't keep turning that power that you have on and off, fluctuating up and down, but you hold that state. You're able to surrender to the process instead of surrendering to the feelings of, oh my gosh, is this really going to happen? When we don't struggle, when we're in our highest power, we don't struggle to hold and maintain it, we can create incredible things, right? And what I understand is most people don't have those feelings of strife, stress, struggle when they are in their highest power. Where there is strife, stress, and struggle is when we're outside of it or we're beside it, right? We're just on the other side of it. We're not quite in it and in alignment. Play Big is a space where you tap into that next level version of you. The version of you that you know is already there, but for some reason you can't stay on top of that identity, right? So we have 20 spots total. There's 7 available. And my question to you is, one of those spots yours? There are 3 things that we focus on inside of this powerful container. And I want you to consider this an invitation to walk into your highest frequency or highest level of power. And I'm going to be sharing over the weeks that we're working together some of the work that I've done that changed the game for me. There's 3 things that we focus on. We focus on embodied leadership, because when you own all of who you be, you powerfully create and get to have it all. This is the foundation of where impossible income goals reside. The impossible resides in you being you 100%. It is also focused on intentional strategy. Listen, I'm a less is more kind of girl. I'm not trying to be stressed out running a business. There's too many stories of people who run multi-million-dollar businesses, but their life is frazzled on the other side. What you see with me is what you get. I be who I be. I am who I am. What I talk about, I live it. You know, there's too many people who are part of my life on all kinds of fronts. It's even keeled. And I live this work that I walk and that I teach. I walk this work that I teach. So I'm going to teach you how to call in your highest level clients with intentional strategy. Not every strategy that's out there, but the one that's intentional and that works powerfully for you. We're also going to dive into wealth energetics, right? I want to teach you how to do quantum selling, rapidly calibrating to the frequency of your next level of wealth, but also being able to call in everything that you desire, how to have powerful sales conversations with ease, how to create moments of expansion with yourself, effortlessness and worthiness that's certain and anchored so that you never have to wonder about how you're going to create another goal again. What you're going to do inside of this container is you're going to unlock the true nature of success, serving yourself, honoring your word so that rock bottom never is reached again, right? There's no more sticking points because you have this highest level of awareness where you can kind of walk yourself through it, taking action and embracing fear and faith and success and failure at the same time. Your brilliance and you're figuring it out all at the same time in order to pursue and reach your most impossible income goals. There's 3 requirements that I will not waver on to say yes to this container. And I'm going to tell you how to get access. And I'll tell you right now, if you feel like this is for you and you set an impossible income goal for yourself this year, but you still can't quite figure out the how, I'd love to be the person to hold you through this process and midwife you through it. Type play big in the comments, or you can message me, Shameca, I'm ready to play big. And we'll start the process from there. Okay. Requirement number 1, you must charge at least $3,000 for your services or your program with at least 10 past clients at those rates. That's a hard line requirement. Second one, you have to have a community already. When you look at all of your email, your social media channels, all of them all together, it can be on Instagram, it could be on Facebook, it could be on your email list, or it could be all 3 combined. But you have to have a community of at least 1,000 people that could become your client that you are in regular communication with. Hard line. Last hard line. You got to have a track record of success. You got to have measurable results. Basically, I've gotten X number of people, this kind of results. Right? A new house, a job, a partner, lost so many pounds, wrote their first book, whatever the goal, the outcome is, or the results, specific and measurable, you can tell me this is what we've done with the body of work that I use or teach or the programs that I offer. If you want your first half of your year to look exactly how you intended and you want to be in this game, we've helped more than 100 clients over the past 19 rounds create more money in 90 days or less than they had in the previous year prior to joining us. So clients come in, they've done $300,000 a year. They do $300,000 in 90 days, 60 days, 30 days. And 30 plus of those clients have created 6 or multiple 6 figures in 90 days or less when previously they had only done 6 figures in a year. We start on March 1st. There are payment plans available. It is a $15,000 investment right now because we're so far away from March 1st. Those of you who say yes early will be able to take advantage of a fast action savings, an early investment level. And I'll give you the details of how that works of $10,000. So there are 7 spots left. My question to you is, one of those spots yours? Play big in the comments, or Shameca, I'm ready to play big. There are only 7 spots left. The last bonus that I want to share with you about Play Big that I did not share earlier when I was talking about it is we start March 1st. So there's 2 things that you'll be able to do. I said there's payment plans available. We can do an extended payment option. We usually do a 3 pay, but because we're so far away, we'll be able to extend that out for you if we need to do that. The second thing that we would be able to do is I will start working with you. So you'll have time to work with me privately until the program starts. So that's a bonus for those of you who take the fast action. So you have 3 fast action bonuses if you were to join the program early right now. 1, working with me, 2, the savings, and 3, the ability to do an extended payment plan if you want to do one. So I wanted to share that with you, give you the invitation to play big. Again, you can either message me, Shameca, I'm ready to play big. We've had a few people do that already, or you can comment play big on the post, and either myself or someone from my team will reach out to you, and then we'll start to get the process started. What's going to happen when you do that is I'm going to send you a voice note in Facebook Messenger. Whether you comment or you message me, we're going to have this conversation in Messenger. I'm going to ask you a few questions. If you pass that screening process, meaning you are a good fit based on the conversation that we're having, I'm going to send you over a small PDF for you to review the details of what's in the program. There's going to be a few more questions for you to answer me on there, and there'll be instructions along the way. Once you answer those questions for me, if your application is accepted, then we'll move forward from there. So that's pretty much how it's going to happen. We're going to communicate inside of Messenger. We'll talk back and forth. Then we'll move from stage to stage based on the conversation that we're having. So I'm excited for those of you who have already joined Play Big. It's a super powerful container. I'm excited for this round in particular. There's some small tweaks that I've made to the program that I think are going to be super powerful, but also I know who's going to be in it. So it's going to be a really, really incredible container for our 20th round of Play Big. Thank you for hanging out with me. I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching my show, my channel. Here's what I want you to do. If you really love what you've been listening to, I want you to subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. No, really, leave a comment. Like right now. I'm not going to stop talking until you leave a comment. Seriously.